Day 6 of Ravens training camp just wrapped up. We had a little scare with Isaiah Likely getting carted off, but I think everything's good. We'll talk about that in detail along with these extension rumors. We'll also talk about all the practice notes from day 6 of camp. We also hear from Mike Green, Odafe Oweh, Chuck Smith, and John Harbaugh. All that and more in today's episode of the Flock Rundown.
Ravens Flock. Flock Rundown is the place to be.
Motionless brainwaves attempt to swim their way to sense, can't tame the untamed.
What's up, Ravens fans? My name is Ryan, and welcome back to another episode of the Flock Rundown. Day 6 of Ravens training camp just wrapped up. We did have a scare. Isaiah Likely was carted off at the end of practice, but John Harbaugh spoke. He said that it looks like an ankle injury, and they'll know more tomorrow. They're going to do more tests, but they expect him to be out for a few weeks.
More tomorrow. It's going to be a few weeks, though. You know, there's something. He rolled his ankle, foot area, so we'll get an MRI tomorrow and see exactly what it needs to be done. But it'll be a few weeks. It's good. It's this early in camp, so.
Praying that Likely has a speedy recovery and is fully healthy by the regular season. I think this is a guy who could miss camp. It's obviously not ideal, but, you know, he's been involved in the offense pretty heavily over the last few seasons, and if he's just got to miss a few weeks of training camp, he probably wasn't going to play a ton in the preseason anyway, then it's really not the end of the world. It is good that it happened early in training camp, so just praying for a speedy recovery, praying for full health by the regular season, and I think Isaiah Likely will get back to being himself and contributing a lot to this offense. There was also a ton of Isaiah Likely extension rumors or news floating around earlier today. A lot of people were saying that the extension was very close to being done or is done already. I saw multiple people say that they had sources that Isaiah Likely did sign an extension, and then Ian Rappaport just came out and said that they're not even close. He said that Ravens and Isaiah Likely are still far away on an extension.
Isaiah Likely for the Baltimore Ravens. They have had conversations with his agent, Eric Burkhart. My understanding is things are not close, far apart, and a deal is not imminent.
So I don't know what to make of it. I don't know whether they're close or not. I think Isaiah Likely's getting extended. I think he'll be a Baltimore Raven regardless, you know, for years to come, but it is a little weird. I did think that an extension was potentially coming today with how many people were talking about it. And then you hear Ian Rappaport kind of say that that's not true at all. And so I don't know what to believe, man. I'm not in there. I don't have any inside sources, but I'm here delivering whatever news we got. So Isaiah Likely rolled his ankle. He'll be back in a few weeks, most likely. The extension is TBD. Diving into today's practice, we'll start with who was there. We did have Rashad Bateman and Jair Alexander return. Still have Emory Jones Jr. on the non-football injury list, our Darius Washington on the PUP, and then Keith Kirkwood is out, Kone's still out, and Jalen Armour-Davis is still out. John Hoyland took all of the kicking reps today. He went 5 for 6 with a long of 48. He missed from 51, pushing the kick wide right.
Tyler Loop didn't kick today. John Hoyland did. He went 5 for 6. 48 yards was his longest make. He did miss a 51-yarder wide right. It missed the right upright completely. So all in all, still a good day for Hoyland. And I actually told one of the other media members, like, if we're talking about consistency to this point, Hoyland might actually be giving them a little more consistency. And I get it, Loop didn't miss a kick in training camp until yesterday. But especially from short distances, I don't know, it just feels like Hoyland has been a little more consistent. It also could be the fact that it feels like I've seen Hoyland kick a little more than I've seen Loop over the course of this summer.
Another strong day from Tez Walker, who had a handful of catches today, was running with the ones quite a bit. I feel like a broken record every video I'm saying that Tez Walker is having a great practice, but it's the truth. It's the reality of his entire offseason, not just training camp. Tez Walker has had about as good of an offseason as you could possibly have in his position, and I think he's definitely knocking on the door of earning some serious minutes and reps with the ones and getting a lot of production throughout this regular season. I don't think he's going to touch into Zay Flowers, Rashad Bateman production by any means, but I definitely think Tez Walker is going to take a massive leap in playing time and production from last season. The offense had their best day today. Lamar Jackson was on point, had a long touchdown run, 65, 70-yard touchdown run. A lot of the defenders were saying that they could have caught him and they're not allowed to touch him, but regardless, Lamar got away. It was another heavy Mark Andrews day. The last 2 days with pads on, Mark Andrews has been heavily targeted. Defense still had a strong day today, though. Roquan Smith was in the backfield multiple times, blew up some run plays, had a sack. It was a good day for the pass rush. Mike Green, Tavius Robinson, David Ajabo all had multiple pass rush wins. Adisa Isaac was setting a hard edge. Chuck Smith spoke to the media today, was raving about all those guys, especially Mike Green.
Mike is earning his stripes. You know, Mike's a rookie, so Mike has to play his position, get in line, you know, like any other rookie. But Mike is going out there, he's competing at a high level. You know, Mike can rush. You know, Mike is strong, you know, at the point of attack on the run. And what I like most about Mike, he just gives great effort. You know, when you think of some of the great players around the league, what defines them is great effort. And that may help you make a lot of plays within itself. You know, he has a great grasp with the defense. Matt Robinson's done a fantastic job teaching him in coverage and things like that. And he, you know, when we talk about pass rush, you know, Mike is all in. And, you know, Mike is everything he was advertised to be. And I think the fans are going to like what they see.
Gets after, and you know, he turned it on even more when he had the pads on. So yeah, he's good. Twitchy guy. You know, just puts his head down and works. Picks up things fast. Does things within the defense. You know what he's told to do, and still, you know, makes flashy plays, and he's physical. So, you know, the sky's the limit for him.
A name that we haven't heard a ton about that made some plays today is Awuzie. He made 3 plays in a red zone period, securing an interception off a Pat Ricard drop, getting pressure on the quarterback, and getting Dayton Wade for a tackle for loss on a swing pass. Also, a really strong day for Beau Brade, who Cordell said was out there hitting.
Beau Brade is out here tagging people. He's out here lighting people up. He popped Keaton Mitchell on the sideline. I mean, Keaton's legs were in the air, and Keaton's been hit a couple times through over the course of these last 2 days and with the pads on. But Beau Brade, he has definitely been bringing the physicality when he gets an opportunity on the back end of that defense.
I'm going live with Cordell right after this episode drops, so if you're watching it as soon as it drops, you might see this before the live, but most of you guys will probably see this too late, and maybe the live might be over too. So if you want to watch this and then also the live stream after this, I think it'll be the best possible, most informative recap that you could get. But awesome to hear Beau Brade's name. I haven't heard a ton about him. Earlier in the offseason, you heard a lot about Sanusi Kane and how he was in the lead for that third safety spot, but nice to hear Beau Brade's out there making plays. I mean, there's not a ton of other competition outside of Sanusi Kane, Beau Brade, and then maybe Ruben Lowry if they want to run him at safety. But those seem to be the depth safeties behind Kyle Hamilton and Malachi Starks, obviously. So it is interesting to see who's going to step out and become that third safety. Are they just going to stay in a rotation? Are the young guys not quite there yet, and maybe we need to go grab a vet? I mean, there's a lot of options. I think that depth safety battle is one of the most interesting position battles yet on the team. We also heard from Odafe Oweh today, who talked about his versatility and the ability to use multiple different moves depending on what the offense's weakness is now, and he didn't have that earlier in his career. It took some time to develop. I think Chuck Smith was a huge part of that process, but Odafe Oweh's finally at a point where, you know, he can watch film and be like, all right, this guy is weak with power. This guy is too tall and he's not as quick. So we're going to use moves based off that. And Odafe Oweh is capable of using all of those moves now. And also with that new weight gain, I think that makes him a lot more versatile.
Like all season, obviously, you're going to train all of them. And then, like, when we're in, like, a season situation, we'll know, like, opponent that, okay, what does he struggle with? Then you marry that up with what you're actually good with. So, you know, if he's, like, light on his, I don't want to use the word, but if he's light on his ass, you know, you're going to use power. And you're going to try to bull slip on stuff like that. Or, you know, if you're faster than a guy and he doesn't like to get low, he's a taller guy, slow on his feet, we can use a ghost, you know, side scissors dip and stuff like that. So it's just like using the right move at the right time.
There's a way to get there, and it starts with developing high-performance skill moves. And one of the first things I said is you will know what Dobbs' moves are, but now he's got multiple moves. So I just think that Odafe, you know, he was humble, he wanted to learn, and he just developed moves. And then when you put a guy with those kind of skills with a guy who naturally has athleticism and strength, it can be dangerous. And I think, you know, a lot of people didn't think he would ever get to this point, but it takes different guys different time to develop. And the credit to him and the credit to the organization continuing to be behind him, and that's what the organization's always done, been behind Doff. And I'm happy for him. That was last year, so we're moving on to this year, and I have high expectations for Doff.
Been hearing a ton of good things this offseason about Aeneas Peebles as well, and Chuck Smith raved about him in his press conference today.
Man, I love Fub. I mean, Fub, he's got incredible upside. He is lightning quick. You know, he's 293 pounds or something, but then they say he's small because he's short, but he's 293. But he's got a high skill level. He's quick. He has a great grasp of pass rush moves. He loves to pass rush. He has an aggressive mindset and a learning mindset. I love Aeneas, and you know, as he continues to learn, going against big guys and going against protection, he'll get better. But he's been doing a good job for us, and I look forward to seeing him continue to grow.
Mike Green also spoke to the media, said he is happy the pads came on. He can finally show his full arsenal of talent and moves, you know, whether it be power, whether it be run defense, setting the edge.
I would say, like, throughout the whole pre-draft process, I was kind of trying to prove that I can do like power rushes, and I'm more of a power guy as well, on top of my, you know, speed game. So I think finally coming out here, being able to put on the pads, I've been able to at least show what I have, what I'm capable of doing, you know, when it comes down to like power rushing and setting the edge and things like that. So it's been, like I said, it's been good. It's always going to be room for improvement. But yeah, it's been good so far.
He also said that his vet that he's bonded with or looking up to is Tavius Robinson, which I found is very interesting. Not that Tavius doesn't work hard or do everything right. We've kind of known that this guy is, you know, the first one in, last one out, one of the hardest workers on the team, hasn't missed a day of anything. It's just weird to hear that he's a vet. I think that's what caught me. You know, I know it's his third year. I know his role's expanding, but man, Tavius still feels young to me. You know, like watching this team, I look at him as one of those growing young guys. I think that Tavius has still got a lot of room to get better too. So he's going to be a force for us. That's pretty much it from day 6. Praying for a speedy recovery for Isaiah Likely. I feel like that's the main news and takeaway out of today. It kind of sucked the energy out of the practice, but still had practice, still a lot of good things that went on in practice. So let me know what you guys are thinking about everything. If you're watching this video before the live stream, hope to see you in the live stream. If you're watching it after, go watch the live stream anyway. It's going to be cool. There'll be a lot more information in there as well. But I appreciate you guys, as always, for tuning in to another episode of the Flock Rundown. Have a beautiful rest of your day, and I let the greatest linebacker in the history of the game take us out.
This Flock Rundown is the place to be. My man Ryan has been a lifelong Ravens fan since he was born. The Flock Rundown. Nothing gets better than waking up and wondering how high we can fly. Tune in.
Motionless brainwaves attempt to swim their way to sense, can't tame the untamed.